This time on the Q Division podcast, we open the case of 1964's Hot Enough for June.
This episode, it's Special Mission season, baby!
Would Dirk Bogarde make it as James Bond?
Is this our first Bond as baby girl?
And Roger Delgado, Master, what are you doing here?
All that and more on this episode of the Q Division.
Hello, agents. Welcome to another episode of the Q Division. I'm Gavin, and I've seen all the James Bond movies, including some fake ones.
I'm Chelsea, and I've seen so many fake James Bond movies. And then whatever Gavin says I've seen of the real ones. But so many fake ones. And I'm discovering more and more and more every single day.
Absolutely. And that's, sometimes we're all about that. I did announce in our latest episode, I should say, which was License to Kill, that we're going to be doing a bunch of one-offs. And I think basically my sort of brain, and I don't want to commit this to record, but I think for us, to make it easier on us, it was a great place to sort of stop Bond for a moment and maybe do a bunch of fun things that are Bond adjacent, that either were inspired by Bond or retroactively inspired Bond as well. And I thought this would be a cool place to do it. And then maybe we definitely have to pick up with GoldenEye at some point, but maybe we'll do that in the fall. So let's consider this a summer of special missions. Why don't we?
I'm so excited for this because, as you know, I think the first time we thought of doing fake James Bond was when I accidentally discovered something I loved was James Bond, way after the fact, 5 years, 6 years after the fact. And I'm like, Gavin, are you kidding me? And you're like, yes, Chelsea, you knew this. You had to have known this. And I'm like, no, I did not. So I'm very excited to do all these fake ones. I just discovered 3 or 4 more fake ones this week and put it on our list. It's great.
I love that. Keep adding them, because it's really fun for me to watch these movies and realize, well, some of them aren't necessarily 100% related, and some of them, don't mention Bond. The one we're doing today actually does mention Bond,
It does.
which is so funny. But I like the ability to look at the way that Bond both changed and shaped the film world, and also, as we've mentioned in some previous past episodes, took things from the film world and made it its own and adapted itself to them. And so I think these are going to be a lot of fun. I know there are those of you out there who only want to hear us talk about Bond. I'm so sorry, but please don't skip these episodes. I think they're going to be worthwhile, and I think you'll enjoy them.
And also, a lot of James Bond crew members worked on these movies, and there's, cast crossovers, so you have to do it. There was one that I discovered this week with Julie Andrews for your other show, where I'm like, wait, this has Maurice Bender. This has the music guy. What? We have to do this. And we will, in 11 years.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. There's so many of these. So please listen to these as well. They're so much fun. Also, some of these have the cutest little guys in them.
And we're all about the cutest little guys. Truly.
We love it.
And speaking of the cutest little guys, the Q Division's top secret mission is to take a deeper look at the history and impact of the James Bond films and other media, like today, through a queer lens. Speaking of, the Q Division is a proud member of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. You can find out more about Glitterjaw at glitterjaw.com. Chels, today we are talking about the 1964 spoof called Hot Enough for June. This is a British film that came out on the heels of early Bond mania. There's literally only 2 Bond films out at this time, but kind of early on knew how much this was capturing both the imagination and attention of the masses, and was like, oh, we can do something similar. Had you ever seen this film before, Chels? Was this your first time experiencing this?
Never heard of it before, and apparently Amazon hasn't either, because it said it was free to stream on Prime, which Amazon, horrible. Every corporation, evil, horrible. But
Correct.
They also have Amazon X-Ray, which helps me learn actor names faster. And when I went to go watch it on Amazon Prime, they took me to a movie about aliens. And I'm like, this is probably not it. So then I went to the girl who never lets me down, Tubi. Tubi has everything. Yes, the sound quality could probably be better on most things, but you know what? She's always there. Her collection is great.
I will say, once again, speaking of evil corporations, though, Tubi is run by the Murdochs, who do use unfortunately, the
Hmm.
cash from that to finance
Yep.
their horrible Fox News, and so
Exactly.
you
They're
can't win.
all horrible. Pluto
Yeah.
TV is CBS. Oh,
Yep.
it's
Exactly.
tragic. And
It is
yet
tragic.
it's free and it's great for people who need accessibility.
I love Tubi and I love Pluto, and I'm well aware that those are both very bad things, and they've both been
But so is
considerable help.
Netflix, so is
Yeah.
everything else.
Right.
Everybody, if you're watching something that came from a major studio, just know they're evil. Literally, I was at a local convention and the person who used to be like the voice director for a major corporation's like, "No, they do not care about your feelings. They are evil." She was saying this, and I'm like, "Good for you, girl. You're
Yeah.
real."
It's all about money.
It's
It's
all
sad.
about money and
It's
advertising, like, I bet Tubi makes more money than most streamers that you pay for.
I do think this film is available for free fully on YouTube. And so if
Another evil
I was
corporation.
going to say if you you get to pick your poison, but it's also there. So, but
I
yeah,
like
this
my
is a
poison with commercial breaks.
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, absolutely. Uh but this is a really fun movie. I had never seen this before either. I'd known of this because I love Dirk Bogarde, who is the star of this film, and we'll get into a bit more about him in a moment. But yeah, I was aware, but I did not know that it actually fully had James Bond connections outside of some production design stuff and whatnot. So when there was a reference in the film, I was like, oh, this couldn't be more appropriate to be our first like
Mhm.
movie special mission. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this one because I ended up really liking it.
I mean, I'm so glad you picked it. This could be the worst movie in the world, but it has Dirk Bogarde in it, and I'm like, I could just, like, put this on mute and watch it and have the best time of my life. What a cutie. I know I don't generally like too many men, but he's one of the ones. He's the exception, which makes
Yeah.
sense because he would not want me.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the end, baby, he's a queen. So
It's okay. It would never work. We would be great life partners.
exactly. You can have a wonderful lavender marriage.
Oh my gosh, we would have the best.
Well, all right. Let's get into some background for Hot Enough for June. As I previously mentioned, this movie is a response to Bond Mania from the 1960s, right on the heels of Dr. No and From Russia with Love. It's based on the novel Night of the Wenceslas by Lionel Davidson, and as you can guess, that's a terrible name, so no, they would not be calling the movie that. Um, this is a serious novel about a half Czech, half Englishman caught up in Cold War intrigue. So there is no comedy necessarily in this novel, which is really funny that this
That's
film adaptation.
hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like the film kind of proves like it should be a comedy. Uh the film employed art director Sid Kane, who had the same job on the first two Bond films, and because of such, many of the sets had parallels to those films, including the offices of Cunliffe's Glass Company, which bear an almost photo resemblance to the waiting room in M's office in those first two films. So the Sid Kane connection is already there. Like they know what they're doing. The film was directed by Ralph Thomas, who had gotten fame directing the quote Doctor series, which is a series of films about a real doctor, not the Doctor from Doctor Who, but still shout out to Across the Universe.
Oh, thank you. Although now that I know that this series, I know I've seen some, I'm like, I should go rewatch for the plot, obviously.
For the plot, exactly,
This man's
exactly.
face.
Uh, most of the interiors of this film were shot in Pinewood Studios, which is where Bond is normally shot. However, Italy had to stand in for Czechoslovakia due to being unable to shoot in a communist country at the time. Yeah,
You
that's
think?
just yeah, I was gonna say just the way it worked back then. Initially, Dirk Bogarde was cast as the lead Nicholas Whistler, but he turned down the role, deciding he didn't want to do it after he had just finished doing another movie. Producers instead went with Tom Courtenay for the role, but Bogarde ended up changing his mind when his manager informed him that he needed the money.
And you know what? Sometimes it do be like that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And there's worse films you could do for money than doing like a fun like movie where you basically get to play the kind of James Bond character.
Yeah, exactly. There are worse ways to make money.
Bogart himself was openly gay and lived with his partner and manager, the former actor Anthony Forwood, who he had started a relationship with in 1949, 1 year after Forwood had already divorced Glynis Johns. Oh, love Glynis Johns.
I love her.
Fans of Mary Poppins.
I mean,
Forwood and Bogarde stayed together until Forwood's death in 1988. Bogarde died of a heart attack on May 8th, 1999. So, like, literally only 26 years ago, 27 years ago.
he was a very heavy smoker and drinker.
Oh, I mean,
But he
he's
looks
from that
really
era.
hot smoking. So,
And like you said, we talked a little bit before this started. You know, he was mostly openly gay in a time in which it was illegal to be gay. So
mhm.
when you start living with another man in the late 40s, it's a like difficult thing to try and explain. I know it was slightly different because he is a British actor. He wasn't working necessarily in Hollywood as much as some other actors were, but I think that's a important thing to point out, that like he was out, maybe not proud, but out in a time in which it was very dangerous for him to be.
I mean, it was actively illegal. Like, this is the same time they're like chemically castrating Alan Turing.
Yeah,
So, like, he's living a dangerous life. The UK was a very bad place to be at this time.
absolutely. And obviously, like, a queer man, we're a queer podcast. It's important to point this stuff out, that, you know,
Mhm.
there were pioneers out there doing the work.
And if you want to know more about that work, check out his other filmography, which did help push the needle towards, like, at least decriminalizing some of this to where they weren't being chemically castrated anymore. So go watch his other films.
And they're really good, and he's
They're
really good.
so good.
Yeah.
This is like, you can tell this is a paycheck film. I don't care. But everything else he was doing, like even just The Servant the year before, so good.
That was the movie that he was like, I just did The Servant. I don't need to do this silly Bond movie. And
I
his
just won a
manager-
BAFTA. I don't need to do this. And it's like, but yeah, you do.
Yeah, like the BAFTA's not paying your bills.
No.
After the film came out in England to decent but middling reviews, though it was actually a box office success, the film was eventually cut by 20 minutes and released in the US under the title Agent 8 3/4, which I think is way too silly of a title for this kind of, like, this is a comedy, but it's not like it's not an Austin Powers.
Yeah, this is not spoofy enough to have this silly of a retitle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's basically it for background information. We're going to try and keep the backgrounds a little light on these special missions and only get to like the really important stuff, because we're really here to talk about James Bond. And so we're only giving you basically sort of the James Bond-y adjacent stuff, or stuff that feels important for giving you the context of the time period. So since we're past that, why don't we move into the plot? We start in a long hallway as a man walks down it, set only to the sound of his footsteps and mysterious music. The man finally reaches a desk, producing multiple passports, a shoe with a fake heel, a gun, a listening device, a needle, and a rabbit's foot. The man receives a phone call saying to the people on the other line that they had better start looking for a replacement, as the effects of his bag are locked away in a locker bearing the number 007, which is quickly replaced with a card saying deceased.
Oh, I giggled. This movie.
Yeah, I love that it begins this way, because I mean, there's no mincing about, you know, like that. It's like, this is a direct reference to the James Bond films. And
this is their opening sequence that like is somewhat connected, but not really connected to the rest of the film.
Exactly. This is your alternate universe. Guess what? Sean Connery was killed after From Russia with Love, and Dirk Bogarde's about to take over.
And they're gonna have more references that make me giggle. On the streets of London, a young man enters the Ministry of Labour's Employment Exchange, where we learn his name is Whistler, Nicholas Whistler, and someone has placed a job for him. He says he can't possibly have a job offer. He's a writer, but he's told he has to go as it's... Sorry. Just the way he says, I'm a writer. There's no way there's a job.
Exactly.
Are you sure somebody's hiring a writer? Too real. But no, he's told that he has to go as it's a training executive job at a stair glass company? Some
I
sort of glass company that is like Don't worry, it doesn't make sense in the movie either. It's like, yeah, glass company. Back home with the boys, he's playing a game of cards. They tease him about a woman that recently rejected him, but she's already there, having not rejected him, wearing only a men's shirt and thick-rimmed glasses. I love that they're just talking about how hot she is
Yeah.
and everything, and, like, she comes into the room and everyone's, like, swooning, and just me knowing Dirk Bogarde, he's just unaffected by all this.
Right. He's like, I've dressed her in a man's clothing.
Exactly. Wink.
Wink. I also love it's such a weird little scene because they're all like, "Oh, she's out of your life." And then she wanders into the scene and it's like, what is the scripting here? Like what what was the decision being made?
He's a man's man. That's how you know. They had to play cards in this somehow, and I feel like they shoehorned this in.
Yeah, absolutely. The next morning, Whistler arrives for his job interview into a very familiar office where he's sent to meet a Mr. Cunliffe, this film's very posh, very vain version of M. Whistler is very much attempting to bomb the interview, telling Cunliffe how he avoided military service, but speaks Czech due to being born there. Cunliffe shocks him by offering him a job, snarkily mentioning that there's openings all the time. But Whistler perks up when the job offers him £2,000 a year. He accepts and leaves, not really knowing what he's agreed to. Cunliffe approaches a false mirror where he meets another spy official who thinks Whistler is a bit dumb for the job, but Cunliffe thinks he'll work as a disposable asset. Cunliffe then receives a call from the Russians saying that they've captured another operative, revealing a map where they keep track of their field agents and taking a flag off. Both men are rather cold with the lives of their agents.
And, like, isn't this the part where they debate the Scottish agent?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, we're not sure if he's ours or if he's, like, the War Department's or whatever, so they have a flag that goes back and forth, and that's, like, the obvious Connery reference.
Exactly.
Well, what about that one all on his own up there?
Well, there's a bit of an argument about him. We've always maintained he's one of theirs, but the chaps at the wharf say he's one of ours. Perhaps we better leave him where he is for the moment.
I also just love the idea, like, this is a movie that's, like, really already politically going after the James Bond films by being like, actually, like, being a spy is maybe not a respectable thing, and you're
No.
like, and also the people that are in charge of these people don't give a shit. They're like, yeah, you're disposable, great.
I like that being dumb is a requirement after we have
Yes.
said for how many episodes James Bond's kind of bad at his job. He's kind of
Yes.
dumb.
Exactly. Like, he's very book smart, but it's like, oh boy, he just walks into traps all the time.
And that is a picture book. It is Dr. Seuss, baby. That is the book he is smart at. On a Monday morning, Whistler is introduced to the other man from Cunliffe's office, Roger Alsop, where they suggest Whistler head off to Prague to translate for their sales manager, a certain Mr. Jones. Whistler worries about being behind the Iron Curtain, but Cunliffe tells him he's not to worry. He'll leave after lunch. Sure, dude.
Yeah.
Whistler is given money and sent out and is warned that while the water in Prague is safe, he should avoid the local gin.
I love that. It's going to come back. Also, once again, I know it's a comedy. Ask why, like, you just got this job, buddy.
Ask any questions. You did not ask what your duties were going to be at all, but also he is a little dumb, so this does make sense. But they're like, yeah, we're going to give you so much money for this training job. Also, you need to go behind the Iron Curtain,
Right.
like, after lunch.
After
Come back.
yeah.
Here's, like, piles of money.
Yeah.
Literally just handing off, like, whole things. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like, you should ask. Maybe just a little bit.
Although, if they want to give me a wad of cash, that's fine.
100%, honestly.
Yeah.
Where I'm at in my life, thank you. I will be taking
Yes.
that cash.
Always.
Whistler returns to the office after lunch when he's informed that the fictional Mr. Jones won't be joining him, and Cunliffe informs him that the meeting will be secret and that they will pass information into a book passed to them, and by uttering the password, hot enough for June, and receiving the reply, but you should have been here last September. Confused but eager, Whistler leaves to start his trip.
I know that this is the title of the film, and it does technically make sense, but I will say, this is kind of a dumb title.
Yeah, but still better than Wenceslas, whatever. Like,
I can't pronounce that, Gavin. You know I'm Ron Burgundy here. Aboard the plane, he oversees a news article about a British businessman jailed as a spy, and doubt begins to creep in. In Prague, he checks into his hotel, where he's delivered a message by his floor waiter, Joseph, played by Roger Delgado, the master on Doctor Who fame. I literally stumbled across a book and got his autograph at a Half Price Books recently. Y'all, I was full Leonardo DiCaprio pointing like, my guy. He looks weird without the beard, I will say.
He does. And I don't know enough about Roger Delgado's personal life, and I didn't dig too much into it, but like, he is also another person who feels very queer-coded.
Here's the thing. The Delgado Master and the Doctor, like, are so queer-coded in the old Doctor Who, like the classic Who. And maybe we need to do some episodes because everybody's like, the third Doctor is the James Bond surrogate. And I'm like,
he really is. Yeah.
And I'm like, but also Roger Delgado, he just has that vibe. Like, he can come to brunch.
It's a certain effeteness, and he did marry women, so I don't want to cast aspersions on him or anything. But it's whenever he shows up, I'm like, oh my God, the Master.
He's like, I married a woman, but I've probably kissed a couple men.
Yeah.
I love him. But then Whistler attempts to tip him, and he tells Whistler that tipping is the product of a capitalist system and no longer has a place in their life as he takes the money. And you know what? He is so right. I love that this film hates capitalism.
Yes.
And I hope that you will do good business. We need the businessmen back here.
Well, you seem pretty full.
Delegations. It's a different class of people, sir. It's not like the old days.
Yes.
Tipping is a product of the capitalist system. It no longer has a place in our way of life.
I see.
If you should require me, you have only to ring, sir. The name is Joseph.
Thank you.
The message tells him that he has been assigned a driver who will pick him up the next morning.
Whistler's driver turns out to be a beautiful woman named Vlasta Simonova, played by Silva Koshina, and he asks to sit in front and that she not drive very fast, as he frightens easily. He is transported to the Czech glass company, where he meets the head of the company, Mr. Galushka, who jokes that he thought Whistler might be a spy. Whistler sets the book in front of the man, but is flustered because he has no clue about glass in the slightest. He uses the passphrase on the man, but he never responds correctly, so he spends the day bluffing through the visit, but worried he will be caught, and using the passphrase on all the wrong people.
You know what? I love this because this feels real to spycraft.
Yes.
This feels real. He is not using any context clues. Whistler is also shown a new type of unbreakable glass, strong as steel and thin as paper, developed by a German scientist. Okay. It doesn't break when Whistler throws a rock at it at first, but as they walk away, the pane shatters, and Galushka calls the German scientist who developed it a Nazi swine. You know what? I love how this film, like, just does not mince words. It hates, like, every system of oppression.
Yeah.
On his way out, Whistler uses a washroom, and there he finally meets his contact, the washroom attendant, but they are interrupted before he can use the catchphrase. He asks Galushka if he can come back and heads out with his driver, where he offers to buy her a drink.
I genuinely, I guess the assumption is the Brits are maybe after the unbreakable glass, but it's such a, it never really comes back.
What are they actually after? We don't know.
We don't know, exactly.
Like, spoilers, we don't know what they actually want.
Right. And the commentary of people hiring Nazi scientists after World War II and just letting them walk among, I mean, once again, this is, it's the Soviet Union, so it's not necessarily going after Britain for this, but it is one of those things where it's like, if that's the thing that Britain wants, they're also benefiting from it.
Exactly. It's like essentially calling out anybody who hires a Nazi scientist after World War II. And Lord knows the Brits were doing it. Everybody was doing it.
Yeah,
they were all bad, y'all.
Yep. At drinks, Vlasta and Whistler compare notes on their countries where it's very clear that they like each other. All the while, she steals a pocketbook full of sugar cubes, which I think is like a very funny reference to the fact that like nobody has anything in Czechoslovakia at the time. That feels pretty judgmental on the British part. But
I will say, as an adult, I've become a sugar cube bitch with my hot beverages, so everyone, highly recommend.
Oh, I love a sugar cube. Absolutely. She tells him to meet her for dinner at the Golden Cockerel at 9 p.m. and rushes off to make a phone call, revealing she's also an agent and that she is planning on pumping Whistler for information.
I just told you. We shall be at the Golden Cockerel at 9.
In that case, we shall send an observer.
There's no necessity. I can find out everything there is to know myself.
That will be for us to decide, comrade. Hello?
Whistler calls back to England and asks when he'll be joined by Mr. Jones, but Cunliffe informs him that the fictional Mr. Jones is now dead and that he is on his own.
Also, we forget the fact that the Cunliffe guy earlier calls him Smith, the fictional agent, like the person who's going to go with him, the sales manager. And there's like Smithy Jones. Yeah. I will say this guy is great comic relief as like he's lip syncing for his life, trying to make up excuses.
Yeah, he's very good.
Maybe I like this movie more than I thought.
I think it's a lot of fun.
It's fun, but it's also plot question mark. I will
Yeah.
forget many details after this, but I won't forget this at the Golden Cockerel because that's a hilarious name.
It's so good.
The duo are ushered to a table up front, and Vlasta is informed everything has been specially prepared for her, much to her disappointment. As her overseer listens in, the two hit on each other. She pours her drink on the microphone so they can speak privately. Girl, you are smart. You are
Yeah.
the actual James Bond in this. I put on Letterboxd that Dirk Bogarde is the Bond girl here. I'll back up that argument later. They then spend the next day together poolside where they kiss, much to her overseer's anger. She then brings Whistler to her massive home after they are caught in the rain, where it is revealed to the audience that her father is the head of the Czech secret police, whom she's working for. She undresses and asks him to stay the night, and they make love on the couch. She also warns him that she's suspicious of his presence there and wonders if he's hiding something. And baby girl, he's not. He's too dumb to hide stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
He's too pretty for that.
I love the idea of her being a counter agent, but it is so funny because he's not really an agent. So he's not clued into anything.
No, I have a whole argument of why he's the Bond girl prepared.
The next morning, he takes a taxi back to his hotel, and Vlasta visits her father at the police office, where instead her overseer Plakov chastises her and removes her from spying on Whistler. When Whistler goes to his car to head to the factory, he's greeted by his new driver, who tells him that Prague is getting ready for a gathering of several communist delegates and passes a message as to where he can meet Vlasta later. He makes contact with the washroom attendant, who angrily passes the information into the book and informs Whistler that they are both spies, much to Whistler's panic.
It's hot enough for June, isn't it?
Ah, but you should have been here last September.
Oh, good heavens, you don't say you're British.
Of course I am, you bloody fool.
How'd you get stuck in a job like this?
It's a cover, you idiot. Here, give me the book.
A what?
Cover!
What do you mean, cover?
How do you think I mean? Here, now take this and guard it with your life.
I want to know what you meant.
Oh, do stop playing the fool, man. I am a spy, the same as you are.
Spy? I'm not a spy. I have nothing to do with being a spy. I'm here on perfectly legitimate industrial...
Espionage?
If you want to use that sort of a word, yes. But it's between one firm and another. It's quite common practice in business.
You tell that to the firing squad, my old darling.
What?
The firing squad. Ah!
Back at his hotel, Whistler can't tell what has changed about the book until he tears it open, taking the info out and dunking the book in the back of his toilet. He then meets Vlasta at the fair just as she requested.
His panic was so cute. He's
yeah.
Girl, what? What am I doing here? Not me.
Yeah, exactly.
Not me.
And it's like, you fool, you've had all the clues. Mr. Policeman, I've given you all the clues. Exactly.
They play each other at the shooting gallery, so they will not be seen talking. She tells him he has to leave today for his own safety and leaves before he can say goodbye. For his shooting, he wins a giant stuffed cat, which I loved. Gavin, you need that cat.
I agree.
Back at his hotel, he packs to leave but is interrupted by Joseph, accompanied by Simonova, head of the secret police and Vlasta's father. Simonova says Whistler must sign a confession or else his death will be faked. Whistler fakes compliance and then makes an escape, faking have gone out to the bathroom window, but instead hiding in a closet. Interesting. And then dodging into the room across the hall, ordering some room service, and then he uses a pair of nylons to strangle Joseph and steal his outfit. Sorry, Master. This is something the Master would do, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he then escapes out the staff exit and into the city. Here's the thing. He did pretty good. He did pretty good. He should teach the girlies self-defense.
My only complaint about this movie is this section after this. And once again, this is a pretty short movie to begin with.
It goes on pretty long.
It goes on pretty long, and part of it is that he's not really a spy, so, but some of it's a lot of fun, and some of it's like, girl, get on with it.
Exactly.
The secret police close off the streets and implement random checkpoints as he continues to hide from them until he can pretend to be a waiter at a fancy restaurant. And I love that he just, like, blends in. I love that he's, like, not wearing the right waiter's uniform either, but he's still able to do it. Like, they're all in black, and he's still in the white.
It is so funny. He's like, I'm going to do it anyways. Whoopsie, wore the wrong clothes to work today.
He makes his way to the kitchen, steals a new coat and a chicken leg, and heads back out into the night. He finally spots the British embassy, but is cut off by the police, where he catches sight of his wanted poster. I love that he also eats the chicken leg, that he's like, I'm hungry.
Exactly. He is filling in plot holes in these movies. He then makes his way to Vlasta's house, where he confronts her after her father leaves. They fight over who is lying to who. He also tells her he kept the secret piece of paper, but she says she will not help him turn her into a traitor. But she quickly has a change of heart when he burns the paper and tells him she will try and get him to the British embassy.
You want me to help you get to the British embassy so that you can deliver it. You are trying to make me a traitor.
No, I'm not.
Well, what will you do with it?
I don't know.
You'd better give it to me.
It's all right for me to be a traitor. Not you. But for me, it's all right.
I didn't think of that.
Will you help me to get to the embassy?
I will try.
This is another sticking point in the movie. She's like, I won't let you turn me into a traitor. But
you just got rid of all the information everybody wants, so I'll at least get you to the British embassy.
Right, exactly.
Maybe.
And technically, both of their actions are now treasonous. So neither's very good at their job.
No.
Simonova meets with Cunliffe at the embassy, where over a polite but testy conversation, they discuss the secret police's presence around the embassy, and Simonova asks Cunliffe about Whistler, but they laugh over the thought of his death. In disguise as a plumber at a cafe, Vlasta arranges for Whistler's transport to the embassy, but tells him if anything is off, he can hide in the loft at the back of the cafe they're currently in. Whistler arrives at the embassy, where the secret police are immediately surrounded by men dressed as waiters trying to get into the building. While they are distracted, Whistler is able to walk right past, only to immediately run into Simonova leaving.
I love it. Whistler blends into the crowd at the parade for the communist delegates, jumping on a float to keep himself hidden. He makes his way off and back to the pool from earlier in the film, where he changes into a tiny bathing suit. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
And
love this decision.
great choice. And he attempts to steal another man's clothes, which turns out to be a traditional Czech Oktoberfest outfit. I love this goofy-ass movie.
Oh, amazing. Lederhosen and all.
He then makes it back to the cafe, meeting Vlasta, and explains he has a new plan to pretend to be a milkman to get into the embassy. He refuses to say goodbye, but tells Vlasta he loves her. Very Bond girl. He knocks out the milkman, assumes his disguise, and even looks directly at the secret police as he enters the embassy, only to find the gate locked. Baby girl, bless your heart.
I will say, for a movie that is, 80% comedy, the tension in this scene is
It's
very
really good.
Yeah, it's kind of pitched really perfectly and feels, even though this is a much smaller film than a lot of the James Bond movies, it feels like it could rival some of the James Bond stuff, I would say.
It works.
However, the real milkman escapes his capture, and the secret police rush Whistler just in time for him to get into the embassy to safety. The embassy provides Whistler a tweed golfing suit, which he is told he has to return. As Cunliffe meets with him, he tells Cunliffe he swallowed the message. Cunliffe is visibly upset, but more worried that Whistler didn't get receipts for the money he spent in Prague, as it's all accountable.
Now then, about the message. Have you got it?
Well, in a way.
How do you mean in a way?
I swallowed it.
You swallowed it?
Well, they were trying to arrest me.
I suppose there's no chance of... No. Well, never mind. Can't be helped. I'm sure you did your best. Come along, I'll get you some coffee. Oh, before I forget, this is important. About the money I gave you in London, I shall need chits for it, you know. It's all accountable.
Whistler then signs the Secrets Act before he can be sent home, only to be met at the plane by Simonova and Vlasta. Simonova warns Vlasta, who is now holding an English tourism book, that she can drink the gin, but to be careful of the local water. Vlasta joins Whistler, and Cunliffe warns Whistler to keep his briefcase away from her. Vlasta and Whistler watch from the plane as Cunliffe and Simonova walk away arm in arm. The end.
I love that they walk away arm in arm, but are like stealing from each other and swapping things.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's the whole point. You know,
Yeah.
we get to the final thoughts portion of
Yeah.
this show. Like, I love that this movie is very much just like, hey, all of this stuff, all of the spycraft stuff is stupid. It's all just about stealing from each other. It's all about power. It's all about the exchange of ideas and whatnot. And all this could be solved if we worked together, and none of us are interested in doing that.
It does remind me of the Bond movies where you do have like the Russian people like Gogol talking with like M and everything, and they're all getting along. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. It's all
It's very that.
It's all handshakes, and it's all people in power not caring about the little people, because that's the whole thing with Nicholas Whistler in this movie, is that he is, from the moment he walks into that office to the moment he gets on the plane, he's completely expendable. He's still expendable. And there's a very good chance that even though he's making it out of Prague and back to England, they're just going to get rid of him there.
Exactly. He's probably a dead man when he lands.
Right. Yeah, I really like this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it actually has a lot more, as we were just saying, a lot more to say than it looks on the initial surface. I don't think all of it works. And I do think, like I said, that section of him trying to get out of Prague does meander and have a tendency to go on.
Yeah, the pacing is a little off. I feel like there could have been more before that, and then just make the final act the meandering.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Dirk Bogarde's so good, and I think he actually, funny enough, has a lot of chemistry with the leading lady.
Here's the thing. Sometimes gay men have the best chemistry with their leading ladies. Look at Jonathan Bailey and Simone Ashley on Bridgerton. Best chemistry, and they're not interested in each other.
Chels, you said that you have some final thoughts about Nicholas Whistler as the Bond girl. I would love to hear them.
He feels like a Bond girl, and that he's just like the stray person, the passerby who's drawn into this mission through some silliness and is given all the Bond girl things to do while the actual spycraft is happening around him, and that he is just the beautiful object of her desire because she's the one not saying I love you back or anything. She's the one seducing him.
Oh, that's very good.
I love it. He is a Bond girl. They put him in those little swimming trunks, and we are just gazing at him. Like, he does feel like the object in this movie.
It is very true, and this movie does treat him like as a sexual object, and that's when they put him in that very tiny Speedo, that's the reaction you're supposed to have. The movie is telling you, this is a beautiful man. Look at this beautiful man. And yes, she does dress kind of, when you see her in their apartment, like, and she's moved into like lingerie sort of, and they do have
and
this
like she's stripping and stuff, but still we're on him a lot in his face.
Absolutely. And also, once again, not to queer the reading, but I love queering a reading. Earlier in the film, his one paramour prior to that is dressed in men's clothing. And so there's lots of layers, I think, here that it's one of those things where it makes me so mad isn't the right word, but frustrated when you try and explain these things to people, because people genuinely, and I doubt anybody listening to this, I think everybody who listens to this kind of has some idea of how a film is made, but people genuinely think a lot of decisions in filmmaking is made in a vacuum. And it's not. Like, a lot of decisions are really thought out. They go through so many checks and balances. They go through so many departments. They have to be approved by people. And so what you're seeing on screen is a combination of, yes, a lot of people's thoughts, but they have been thought about. Like, it's none of it's an accident. It's so rarely an accident. And when it is an accident, it's like a happy accident because you realize it actually fits the ideas that you're trying to get across.
Truly, there's no accidents in film unless there's like something horrible behind the scenes. The only time I can think of in a film or a TV show where the creator did not intend for something to happen is an episode of Community where somebody like in the background exits a door like this couple and the guy zips up his pants. That was actually extras and they did not realize it until the viewers saw it because it was I think it was the Law and Order episode. And
Right.
so they were like, actually, we had no idea. We did not clock that. For some reason, the editors didn't clock that. And so I like that so much of this film is intentional. I am going to queer up the reading a little bit. This might belong on Archive of Our Own. Cunliffe and Semenova walking away arm in arm. They're kind of cute together. I like them. They're funsies. I want to see more of their stupid adventures where they accidentally maybe try to kill each other's friends, but then they go home at night.
Well, and that's funny because, like, I think if you were to make a series out of this, it wouldn't be following Dirk Bogarde. It would be following
No.
Cunliffe and Simonova and their
Uh-huh.
kind of like secret war against each other. And there's so much interesting ground to cover there too, because you could bring in other people. You could bring in the people that are above them. You could bring in
Mhm.
new agents that they're constantly like kind of throwing in front of the firing squad. And yeah, I actually think that there is a lot of uh ground that could be covered here. But you're right, like I love this idea of, it goes back to what I was saying before, that like the spycraft, it's all stupid. It's all just like it, if you could just work together and for a more peaceful world, you wouldn't have to do all this stuff where people die just to get information. And I love, like, once again, as a comment on the stupidity of all of this, that when he finally does get back to Cunliffe and he's like, listen, I destroyed the secret message you wanted. Cunliffe doesn't care. Cunliffe is more worried about the money that he spent in Prague and how they're going to account for that when it
Did
comes
you
to.
not get your receipt? They sound like me at my day job. I'm like, "You didn't get the receipt for that? What
Yeah,
the hell?"
exactly. And I love that. That's such good commentary on this, that like
Yeah.
none of it matters. It's all fucking stupid. Uh,
And that's what I really like is that they make fun of capitalism throughout this whole thing. They make fun of communism throughout this whole thing. They really hate Nazis. I'm like, yes, go after every single system. I cannot. Part of me is like, I can't believe this movie was actually released during this time.
I know, I know. Well, yeah, because it feels like
Censorship
such.
was crazy back then, y'all. Like, I
Yeah.
know the Hays Code was just being phased out, but people were still abiding by it years after.
I mean, I truly think part of that is the fact that it's British, because like I
Mhm.
said up front, is that 20 minutes of it was cut out for the American
US.
release. And this is a movie that's like at most like an hour 40, maybe like barely.
Yeah.
And so to remove 20 minutes to put it out in the US is basically
We
basically a
need
long
the
short.
US cut to see if they cut out the Nazi stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I wonder if they cut out some of the commentary too about the fact that like this is dumb and we're willing to send people off to die for nothing. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, but I do like this movie, and I do think it's quite funny, and also once again staring at Dirk Bogarde for
Oh my
an hour or
gosh.
so. Yeah, he's so like on top of being handsome, he's so charming, and I love the like he's bumbling enough, but you truly believe when he's making his escape through that restaurant that he is pulling it off, that he's both nervous he's going to die, but also he knows what he's doing and he can
Yeah.
get out of that situation.
I feel like he went to the Cary Grant School of being a charming man who knows what scene he's in. Like, he
Yes.
understands his assignments. And I just for like, during this time, they were not making movies for, like, home media releases like they
Right.
are now. This was like, we put out a movie, and if you're lucky, it might be screened again in, like, 10 years. If
Right.
you're very lucky, if you're a Best Picture winner. So these movies were just being made to make money. Like, that was the entire point. Put people in the theater for a couple months. And I love that just so many of these ideas live on because we can watch it on Tubi. And I'm like, this is what people were actually thinking about back then. It's not just like Mary Poppins, a movie I need to log on my
Right.
letterbox because I just watched it for you. Things have deeper meaning and that is important, even if it's just a run of the mill movie made just to like make some money.
Yeah, and it's sad that stuff like this is forgotten, because I do think it has ideas and it's well made and the music is good and the acting is good, and you know that is going to happen, I think, more and more as time goes on. We are going to lose people like Dirk Bogarde to the annals of history, and there's going to be people like us on podcasts who talk about them, but like he's not a well-known, like
He's not. He's very much like, there's your A-listers and even like B-list. He was scratching at that. Like, he won a BAFTA just the year before, but he was taking movies like these because he needed the money.
yeah.
That tells you what the system was like then. They just wanted like your movie stars. They wanted more Peter O'Toole types at this point who could draw in an audience.
So anyways,
I love Peter O'Toole though, so.
Oh, I fucking love Peter O'Toole. I mean, that's the best moment in that stupid James Bond Casino Royale spoof is when,
Oh
when
my
he
gosh,
shows up
when
for
he
1
shows
second.
up and I just get to look at him for like 12 seconds, I'm like, oh, where were you? Where were you
Yeah.
my whole life?
Slap that man
Although
in a
there
kilt.
was somebody in this movie, I want to say it was the Alsop guy. I think he was in that horrible Casino Royale because I'm like, you look familiar. I've seen you
Yes.
before.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's Britain. I have often said, no slight to our British listeners, because I know we have a bunch of them. Britain at any time has 12 celebrities, and they're all good at what they do. So I don't want to.
And I'm in love with all
Yes.
12 of them. Don't
Exactly.
worry.
Exactly. If it's not David Tennant, it's someone else, and that's
Exactly.
But yeah, we normally we do our whole like villains, gadgets, and whatnot, and that's not going to always apply to every special
No.
mission, and it
You know
certainly
what will
doesn't
apply
really
though, Gavin? I have a serious, hard-hitting journalism question for you.
hit me.
And we can do this for every episode. How do you think Dirk Bogarde would have done as James Bond in any
Oh.
of the Roger Moore or Sean Connery films or the Australian hot guy?
The Australian hot guy, I think he could have made it out of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Genuinely,
Oh my God.
there are a couple
Ugh.
feats of strength that James Bond has to do in that movie, but I think he could have made it out. I sadly don't think he would have made it out of a lot of Roger Moore or Sean Connery
No.
movies. He's
No.
great and he's very charming, but he is not he's not as trained or as lucky seemingly. So the Nicholas Whistler character could not necessarily fill in for James Bond.
Probably not. Also, I think just Dirk Bogarde is almost too pretty to be
Yes.
James Bond. Like, he doesn't have that rugged factor that kind of turns me off to a lot of men. And I'm like, Dirk
There is-
Bogarde, though, you're hot. I want to see you in other stuff. And I have.
Not to get stereotypical, there is a softness to him, and it works in his favor, especially in this movie. But you're right, yeah. Like he could be scary. There's movies where I've seen him be scary, certainly. But there is also like a, I guess the word I'm looking for is meek quality to him
Yeah.
that he still sort of carries in his persona,
Mhm.
which
He's
I
a
love.
man that you could call beautiful without
Yes.
like people getting weird about it.
Oh fuck, I love.
There's a
calling men
beautiful quality to him.
You
Whereas
have
if
no
you
idea.
if you called Sean Connery beautiful, he'd slap you.
Yeah. He would have, and it didn't matter which gender you were or
No.
non-binary either.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that sort of wraps up Hot Enough for June. But like I said, you can find this movie on YouTube. You can find it on Tubi. It is not for free on Amazon. Don't go look for it there. But yeah, with that, I guess it's case closed for Hot Enough for June. Thank you for listening to the Q Division. If you'd like to listen to our previous episodes, we are available wherever you listen to podcasts. Please make sure to rate and review our show while you're there. You can also find us on Blue Sky and Instagram at QDivisionPod on both, or you can email us at qdivisionpod@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us. Chels, please remind our agents where they can find you online.
I am Chels725 on the Blue Sky, Serialized, Letterbox. I have Across the Hooniverse, a Doctor Who rewatch podcast. Gavin is going for All-Star Companion, really
I love
fighting for
being
that
on it.
title. And we'll be back because I only talk to the same 5 people. And then, of course, My Stories are on, where we just talk about what we're watching right now. And then I have been a guest on Fear Coded, Gimmicks, Screonk, Distant Echoes. If I've been a guest on others, I apologize. It's morning. And I'm also on And a Rewatch Pod periodically. We're talking about Selfie. And then we have some fun episodes dropping this summer just about like TV structure, the TV show Sweet Vicious. We're having fun over there.
And as for me, you can find my declassified account at It's Gavin. That's SHHITSGAVIN on Blue Sky. And you can also find me on Instagram at GavinMev. You can also find my other long-running film podcasts at The Mixed Reviews on any podcast platform by the time this episode is out. Chels, you would have been a returning guest in which we talked about Julie Andrews, and I'm sure it's an amazing episode. You're always a great guest.
Thank you.
The Mixed Reviews is co-hosted by my good friend Louis Rendon. To find out more information about The Mixed Reviews, please visit glitterjaw.com/mixed-reviews. And until next time, we hope to have left you shaken, not stirred.
I'm already thinking of all the ways we can thirst after this man.
Yeah.
I love him so much. Like, one day down the line, if I come back, I will pick him. He's the only man I would talk about.